Hello, I have something special for you today. I'm doing a collaboration with the Logic Wiz app. It's available on both the Play Store and the App Store. And this is a free app that you can download for your mobile device, and it allows you to play Sudoku and Sudoku variants. And I've tried this app, and I think it does a very good job of bringing that experience to mobile and providing good ways to get good variant puzzles that you know are unique, that you know will solve well. And the app itself comes with a lot of puzzles, and also the app makers have this message board which they add new variants and they post new puzzles to it as well on a pretty frequent basis. So that's all very neat. And what I have for you here is a puzzle that they made especially for this video. And so if you are coming from that puzzle and got a link to my video, welcome to my channel. Please, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe and like the video and all that good stuff. I do have a goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers, and as of recording this, I'm very close. I'm at about, I think, 925 subscribers, which is awesome. And I've had this goal of hitting 1,000 for several months now, and I'm hoping you guys can give me a nice boost. So if you like Sudoku, if you like Sudoku variants, I am the channel for you. I stream twice a week on Thursdays and Saturdays. I do 4-hour streams each day, and I solve puzzles by some of the best puzzle constructors in the world. They submit puzzles to me, and I solve them live and in chat. It's basically a collaborative solve, and we solve these together, and it's a lot of fun. You don't have to participate in chat if you don't want to. You don't have to participate live if you don't want to. There's also VODs on my channel of all my streams. Also, I do produce a lot of Sudoku-related content in video form. So just like this video, I have a lot of puzzle showcases, live solves, as well as theory videos. So I have two series. I have the Learn to Love Sudoku series, which is aimed at beginners and intermediate solvers who want to learn how to solve Sudokus a bit better and learn the techniques. I go over everything from singles to tuples to fish and wings and all that good stuff, and you can learn how to solve basically any hard Sudoku that's going to be thrown at you. And also I have a series that I host with Philip Newman that I call the Sudoku Discussion, and this series goes over Sudoku theory at a very high level. So cutting edge stuff that's happening in the Sudoku world. And it's all very fascinating stuff. And I'm sure a lot of it you haven't seen before. So do check out that if you have any interest in advanced Sudoku techniques and strategy and theory and all that good stuff. So for example, our latest episode, we go over uniqueness and something I didn't know, how uniqueness was used to prove that 17 givens must be the minimum number of givens in Sudoku. I knew that 17 was the number. What I didn't know is how that was proven. So if you'd like to know that, watch the latest episode of the Sudoku Discussion. We also have a 3-episode series on set equivalence theory, which is sort of the new hotness in especially Sudoku variants, but also in classic Sudoku. So if you want to learn how that works and how it makes older techniques easier to think about, like MSLS or other advanced techniques like that, then check out those episodes. So with all that said, let's talk about the Logic Wiz app. So I'm actually going to switch away from this for a second so I can show you the entire app in full. So I have this in landscape mode, and you can see I have the puzzle up right now. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you the game settings that I've chosen to use. Now, of course, the settings are there for a reason. There is a reason they're settings. This is just what I'm going to be using during this solve, and I'll explain why I've chosen to go away from some of the defaults. So first we have this auto check for errors option, and I've moved that to just on rule violation. If you have this on always, it will tell you if you're wrong, even if there isn't an immediate reason why you're wrong. And the way it can do this is every puzzle has a single unique solution. So if I fill a 1 into a cell, and in the final solution that cell isn't a 1, it will turn red and tell me, hey, that shouldn't have been a 1. And I don't necessarily want that much information in my solves. Like if I'm experimenting with things, or if I accidentally typo a digit, I don't want the game to suddenly give me that information like, oh, by the way, it's not that. I don't want that. What I do want is for the game to tell me, hey, you put 2 1s in this row, or you put 2 3s in this box, or hey, this thermo, that's not right. Because that's just a silly mistake, and I probably just wasn't scanning right, or I typoed and didn't realize it, or something like that. So on rule violation, I'm perfectly happy with. There's also this delayed option, and I believe the delayed option is like always, but it'll actually delay telling you. So that fixes the issue with typos. It doesn't fix the issue with experimentation. So I'm keeping that on rule violation. If I get a digit wrong, I'll discover it eventually when I can't finish the puzzle. So that's just how I like to play. If you want it on always, if you want it delayed, if you want it never, that's perfectly fine. Sudoku is a single player game. I do really like this highlight matching numbers feature. So if I select, say, a 3 on the board, it'll highlight everywhere I have a 3, including pencil marks. And so that's a really good way to very quickly visualize where all the 3s are. And you can look for, like, did I not clear a 3 out? Or, oh, 3 is limited in a box to just 2 places, or things like that. Or you could even find things like fish or more advanced structures on single digits. We also have this highlight restricted areas. That's default on. I turned it off. What this does, and it could be useful for many people, is if you select a cell, it'll highlight all the other cells that can't be the same digit as that cell. So it'll highlight the whole box, the row, the column. I'm pretty good at scanning in my head that way, and I find that having it highlighted is just a lot of extra information overload for me, and I like to keep my board clean, so I turned that off. Feel free to use that, though. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a great feature. Same with auto remove pencil marks. I think that especially on mobile, there's a lot of people who really like the auto remove pencil mark feature and find it that, it helps them solve puzzles a lot faster. For me, the way that I do my pencil marks, I want to know when I've removed them. I don't want them automatically removed for me. And so that way I can react one at a time to every pencil mark removal. And it does make certain things slower. And you do have to scan more carefully, but I find it more fun to not have the app remove the pencil marks for me. So I've turned that off. Everything else here is default. I don't think there's anything super interesting to call out there, but it's nice that we have these options to, really customize the app. The final thing that I have changed from the default is I have turned on double notation. So if we go in here, it's defaults to off. I turned it on over here, and I put it on double notation mode. So what that means is I can notate the same digit in 2 different ways. I can do the center of the cell, and I can do the corner of the cell. And I use those to mean different things. So generally, I'll corner mark a digit if that's where it's limited within the box. And so I might, if there's 2 cells in a box that can have a 1 and none of the other cells can have a 1, I'll corner mark 1s into those 2 cells. And that tells me, hey, that 1 is very limited in that box in a certain way. And I use center notation to mean, hey, this particular cell can only be these specific values. And that's what a lot of people use notation for. That's what most people are used to for notations. But I combine the 2, so that way I can have, say, 1's center marked into cells and also 1's corner marked into cells, potentially the same cells. And so I use that strategically, and that's called Snyder notation usually, is the notation style. And I use basically that, of course, everyone puts their own twist on how they like to notate, for how their brains work. So I definitely recommend checking out this option if you want to learn more about Snyder notation and how that can benefit you. So those are the game settings I've used. Next, what we can do is we can look at this UI element here, and we can click this. This is the rules, and actually, if it actually gives you a quick iconic representation of the rules, so you may not even have to read them when you load up the puzzle if you're used to the icons, but let's take a look. So first of all, we do have classic Sudoku rules. So every row, column, and 3x3 box must have all the digits 1 to 9 only once. So you could also say exactly once if you want. Those are the Sudoku rules. Hopefully, if you're coming here, you know the basic Sudoku rules. But if not, those are the Sudoku rules. And so on top of that, we've put 2 variants. We've put thermo and bishop. And so that's what these two symbols here are. This is the thermo. This is the bishop up here. So coming back in here, thermos, digits on each thermo line have to be ascending order, starting with the smallest digit in the bulb. So basically, these are the bulbs. These circles are the bulbs, and then you can see lines come out of them, and they go to some end. And as we move along the line, the digit has to increase. So we can't repeat a digit, and we can't get smaller. So, for example, if I were to put a 4 here, well, let's not put a 4. Let's put a 5, because there's already 4 in the box. If I put a 5 here, this one would then have to be 6, and then I'd have to get bigger from there. And you can skip. So if I maybe you choose a smaller number, like if I put a 1 here, I could skip to 3. It doesn't have to be consecutive. And then I can skip to 5, and then maybe do 7, and then 8. And that would be perfectly fine if these 8s didn't clash. but you get the idea. So that's how thermos work. And then we also have this bishop rule. These bishop lines are very powerful, but also very simple to understand. Digits along each bishop line cannot repeat. So it's just like a row, column, or box. We have these lines, and they kind of take these little turns, and they keep going along diagonals. So I think the bishop lines, the key here is that when they construct puzzles with them, the bishop lines always go along some diagonal. And then they might turn at the board edge and then keep going, or they might turn out of some cell and then keep going. But the point is, these bishop lines, you can't repeat a digit. So if I put a 5 here, I can't also put a 5 here. And you can see that the app helpfully marks those as red, because I do have that error highlighting on. And so what that means is I've repeated a 5 on this bishop line, and I'm not allowed to. So those are the rules of the puzzle. Again, if you check the description, I should have a link to open the puzzle in the Logic Wiz app. The app is free, so download the app on your device. Then you can click the link in the description. You should be able to play this puzzle yourself. So with that said, I'm going to start solving now. So let's switch back to my face here so we can see everything. And actually, if you look below my face, I've actually put the panel here with here's my cursor here. I put the panel underneath my face here so you can see what I'm clicking on. I'm not going to use my keyboard at all. I am using an Android emulator on my computer, so I have a mouse here, but I'm only going to be left clicking, and I'm going to use this panel. So that should give you an idea of what the mobile experience is like. I had difficulty recording this with my phone, so I decided to record this on my PC instead, but it should give you an accurate idea of the actual experience. So now I will start solving this puzzle myself. So what I'm going to start with is actually the 8s. The 8s are very powerful at the start here. So first we can notice that these two 8s just directly look into this box, and also this 8's on a bishop line, so it sees this cell as well. So we actually can place 8 in these two cells in the box. I'm going to turn on pencil mark mode, mark those 8s. And these 8s do what's called point, because within this box, we've limited 8s to 2 cells, and those 2 cells are in the same row. So if I were to place an 8 anywhere else in row 4, that would remove 8 entirely from box 6, and we're not allowed to do that. That would break the puzzle. We must have an 8 in the box. And so we can't place an 8 in any of these cells, and that's called pointing. These two 8s here, they point left and eliminate 8s from the rest of those cells. So now let's look left. 8 can't be here. 8 can't be here. And now let's think about this cell. So let's just mark this. We can corner mark these 8s. This cell here, can this really be an 8? Well, if you just look at one thermo in isolation, it could be. This could be 8, that could be 9, and everyone's happy. But then what's this cell? This cell still also has to be bigger than 8, but now 9's used up. So you can't put two 9's in the same column. So this cell actually can't be 8. And we're left with just this one cell left for 8. So next we can look at box 2 here. This 8 looks over, and this 8 here looks up. So these can't be 8. And actually, these are far too early in the thermo to be an 8. If you think about it, we could go 9, we could go 9, 8, and then this would be maximum 7. So these can't be 8, these can't be 8, and that can't be 8. So 8's limited to these two in this box. This 8 looks up, this 8 looks over, these 8 looks over. So now 8 in this box is limited to these two cells. And I believe that's all we're going to do with 8 for the moment, but we're going to get back to those pretty quickly. Let's look at the 3's next. So these 3's look up, and so we can actually limit 3 to 2 places in this box. And this 4 is actually quite powerful because of our bishop line and what we've already placed. This 4 sees over, and it sees these two cells. So naively, we could limit 4 to these two cells. But let's think about 4 in context of this thermo. Could this really be a 4? We'd go 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we'd have to put a 0. There's no 0 in Sudoku, not these Sudokus at least, and so we can remove that 4. I seem to have lost my pencil mark mode, but let's remove that 4, and let's place this 4. And so now this 4 looks down, and this 4 is on this bishop line, and so I'm going to mark that 4 is limited to these 3 cells. And if we can eliminate 4 from here, that would be very powerful in this bishop line, because we'd actually point along the entire bishop line. But we aren't there yet, so if that does happen, I'll explain that, but it may or may not happen. So the next obvious thing to look at would be this cluster of thermos here. So let's start with these bulbs in box 5. So how big can these bulbs get? Let's start with these longer thermos. So if we naively count, we could go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. But does 5 actually work? Well, let's take a look. If I put a 5 here, this is forced to be at least 6. And now, what's bigger than 6? 7, 8, and 9 are bigger than 6. And you can already see in the row, I can't fit 7, 8, 9 into 4 cells. And even worse, I'm not even allowed to put 9. So I'd have to put a 7 and an 8 into 4 of these cells. That's not going to work. So I obviously can't be 5 here. I can't be a 4 because there's a 4 in the box already. So actually, both of these cells, they have the exact same thermal logic. They are limited to 1s, 2s, and 3s. And I'm using the center mark mode to show that this cell is limited to just these 3. So I'm not talking about the box in this case. I'm just talking about the individual cells. And that's why I use the center mark mode. And now we can look at these 2 cells here. And one thing that we want to note is they can't be 1, 3, or 4, because there's a 1 and a 3 in the row, these 2, and there's a 4 in the box. So already they could be 2, and then they'd have to be bigger than 4. And 5 and 6 are actually going to be the options here. We just look at the thermos in isolation, because a 7 here would put an 8 here. And first of all, there's an 8 in the row, so that's not going to work by itself. But even if there wasn't an 8 in a row, I'd have to put double 9 around it. So however you want to think about that, 6 is the maximum for these. So, but can this one actually be a 6? That puts a 7 here, and I'd have to put an 8-9 pair around the 7 to have 2 different digits bigger than 7, but we have an 8 placed in the box. So this one actually can't be a 6. And now the next thing I want to think about, just in terms of these 2 cells, is are we allowed to omit the 2? If we omitted the 2, what would happen? Well, first of all, this would be 5, and this would be 6. And then 5 and 6 are used up in our row. So we'd have to be bigger than 6 in both of these cells, but not 9 because 9's too big. So these would both have to be 7 because 8 is used, and that's not going to work. So if I undo back here, I actually must have a 2 used in these 2 cells, and I can corner mark that with 2's here. And now that 2's are corner marked in this box, the rest of the box can't have 2's in it. And so these 2 are not 2's. So now that these are a 1-3 pair, I'm going to point out something very cool, which is what happens to the one that's 3. And we're going to just deal with the thermo completely in isolation so that we can do the symmetric feature of when you figure out one of these thermos, we can apply it to the other one as well. So one of these is going to be 3. Let's pretend it's this one. Let's pretend this is a 3. What does that mean for these 5 cells here? Well, we need 5 cells that aren't 9 and are bigger than 3. Well, that would actually just place a 4 here, and then we would have to put, in some way, 5, 6, and 7, and 8 here. And obviously these 2 wouldn't be able to be 8s. These 2 wouldn't be able to be 5s at the very least. If you think about it, I could do 5, 6 here, and then 7, 8 here, so that all works. But this 8 here is on a bishop line, so this couldn't be 8, and this couldn't be 7. And I'm willing to do that because up here, this corner also can't be an 8. And so if we reflect this, we're still accurate in what would happen. And so this is about as far as I want to go in terms of this what if here, because either this is a 3 and this is forced, or we could reflect this up here, make this a 3, and just have the reflection here, where this would be 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 4, etc. So no matter which one happens, we end up with an 8 either here or here. But there's something I want to actually point out, which is there's in box 1, 8 is limited to these 2 cells. And we can actually do a special form of kind of variant pointing here. Because no matter where the 8 is, that sees this cell. If the 8 is here, it's in the same column. And if the 8 is here, it's on the same bishop line. So how could this cell ever be 8? If it was 8, it would eliminate 8 from everywhere that 8 could go in box 1, and that would break the puzzle. So this can't be an 8. And once we do that, we've now broken this thermo. We have a 5, 6 pair here. These would both have to be 7. There's just not enough digits in these 4 cells because clearly they can't be 9s either. They're too early in the thermo to be 9s. And so this is just broken. So I can just clear all this out. Actually, I'm going to undo back just so I don't make any mistakes here. And actually, this can't be a 3 now. So we've actually proven this is the 1. This is the 3, and we can just do our work up here. This is the 4. We know the 8's going to end up here. We did that work earlier. But, you know, if we want to be rigorous about it, let's just make sure our logic is sound. So from the 4, we need 4 digits bigger than 4. And that's going to have to be 5, 6, 7, 8. And this one can't be an 8. It shares a box with an 8. That means this one can't be 7 or 8 because it must be less than 7. 7's the biggest this cell can be. This has to be smaller than that. That actually removes 5 from this cell. This cell here can't be 8 because that would put nothing into this cell. This would have to be bigger than 8. And so now we have a 5, 6, 7 triple here, and that forces this cell to be 8, which means this cell is no longer 8. Oops, I was not in the right mode there. I'm just going to clear that cell. All right, that's cleared. And now that we've placed this 8, these 8's seed down, and we can actually say that 8 is in one of these 3 cells, and that may or may not be worth marking, but I'm going to do it. So now, obviously, we did place an 8 on a thermo, so we should follow up with the bigger number and say that this one has to be a 9. And so now this cell here can't actually exceed 8 or 9. Let's actually look at this one first, because if this were a 5, then that would force this cell to be 6 or 7. But it could be a 2 still. So what's bigger than 2? Well, it can't be 3 or 4, but we could be a 5, 6, or 7. And so now this cell here must be bigger than the 5, 6, or 7. And so it's 6, 7, or 8, but there's an 8 in the box. So we remove 8 from here, and we remove 7 from here. And so now what we've done is we've actually limited this thermo a bit, but let's look at what happened to this row. We got a 2, 5, 6 triple in the row. So that means the rest of the row is also a triple. And what's left? We have a 1, we have 2, we have 3. We're going to need a 4. We have 5 and 6 in the triple. We need a 7, we have an 8 in the row, and we need a 9. So this is down to 4, 7, 9, and this can't be a 4 for multiple reasons. And so additionally, this cell can't be a 9. It's way too early in the thermo. Now what we've actually done by placing this 9, though, we've actually created a hidden 9. Where does 9 go in this box? Well, it can no longer be in this top row. Though none of these other ones are marked as possibly 9. So we can actually place this 9 here and remove this 9 possibility here. We have a 4, 7 pair now. That eliminates 7 from this cell, so that's an 8. And this can no longer be 8. So now we can go back to, if we rewind a little bit, I did place this 6, 7 on this cell here. It definitely seems like it's worth it to fill out the candidates for the rest of these thermos. So let's take a look at what we can do here. This must be less than 7. So we could go 6, 5, 4. But could this really be a 4? Because this is out of branch. Actually, it can't be a 4 because it sees a 4. So actually, what can this really be? It could be a 2. And if it were bigger than 2, it would actually have to be a 5. And we already saw that 5 would be way too big. So we can actually place the 2 here. That's the only value it can be. And then what can this value be? Well, it must be bigger than a 2. So we can be 3, 4, or 5, but not a 4 because we see a 4. And then here, if this were a 3, this can't be a 4 because it sees a 4 on the bishop line. So this would have to be 5 or 6. And now we end up with a 5, 6 pair in the column. And that forces this cell to be a 7 because it can no longer be 5 or 6. And we can now move along this thermo here and see what's happening. So we must be bigger than a 2 here. So we could be 3. This could actually be 4. And let's actually count down from here. This could be a 9 still. This can't be an 8 though, because it sees an 8. So this maxes out at 7. So we want to stop at 7. So this goes 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm not immediately seeing why it couldn't be any of those. And then this would be from 4, 5, 6, 7. And so now just for some nice hygiene around our grid, we want to just make sure we look for limited rows, columns, boxes, and we can just center mark what those can be, because those are often interesting cells. So here we actually have a 5, 6 pair. We have a 3, 7, 8, 9. So we're left with 1, 2, and 4. Additionally, in this box here, we are down to 4 candidates left, so I'm going to mark that. We need a 1 and a 2. We have a 3 or a 4, but we need a 5 and a 6. These 2 cells do see a 5 in the column, so they cannot be 5. All right, so now we did place this 1 as well. So this 1 does see left, and we can take care of that. So these can't be a 1. That leaves just one place for a 1 in this box. And we can see 1s get highlighted where we've placed them, so we can check if any other 1s are seen, but they are not. Now, the next thing that I want to show is we have these bishop lines. So if you look, this bishop line here is actually 9 cells long. You can count it if you want. And because it's 9 cells long and it can't have a repeated digit, that means it must have one of every digit because there are only 9 digits. That's exactly how a row, column, and box works as well. And so if you think about it, we can find hidden singles in it and other techniques. So the question I want to ask is, where does 3 go on this line? It's actually going to end up in this selected cell here. But if we look, this cell, and this cell are seen by this 1, 3 right here. This cell can't be a 3 because there's 1 in the box. This cell can't be a 3 because of the thermo. And this cell can't be a 3 because there's a 3 in the row. So this is the only place for 3 on the bishop line. The bishop line must have a 3, so we can place this 3. That 3 now looks left. This can no longer be a 3, and that places this 3. And these 3s do look over like this, and so there are 2 places for 3 in this box, which we can mark. Additionally, this 3 does look over, and these can't be 3s because there's a 3 in the row as well. And so 3 can't go here on the thermo because of the 4, 7 that's there. So 3 is limited to one of these 2. So additionally, we do have this bishop line here. It is only 7 long, so we don't have to place every digit, but we do have a 5, 6 pair. So we can sort of treat that as both 5 and 6 already being placed on the line because we can't put another one on. And so we can apply that 5, 6 pair to every cell on this bishop line. So let's look at what these can actually be now. This cell, it could be can't be a 1 because there's 1 on the bishop line. It could be a 2 though. Can't be 3, 4, 5. It can't be 6 either because of the 5, 6 pair. It could be a 7, can't be 8, and it could be 9. So it's a lot more limited than one might think. And also we do have this 5, 6, 7 triple in the row, so it can't actually be 7 either. So we're down to 2 or 9. In fact, this row is down to some value, so while I'm thinking about it, I might as well fill that out. It needs a 1, and actually there is a hidden 1 right here. So we discovered that, and then this is down to also 2 or 9. But let's keep looking at this bishop line here. So what can this cell be? It sees a 1. It could be a 2. It sees a 3. It can't be a 4 because there's a 4 on the bishop line already. It can't be 5 or 6. Could be 7, can't be 8, and it could be 9. And this cell here looks like it can't be a 1. It could be a 2. It can't be 3 or 4. Can't be 5 or 6. So it could be 7, 8, or 9, it looks like. Additionally, we do have some rows and columns that are limited now to 4 or fewer, so I'm just going to fill those out. So this column here, it has a 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 5, 6, 7, and 8. There is a 9 already. This cell here can't be 5 or 8 because of the row. And so now that actually forms a 5, 6, 7 triple in this box, leaving just 8 as a candidate for this cell. That 8 clears 8 from these 2. All right, and so now actually we can observe that we place this 5, 6, 7 triple remaining in column 5, and the 5 is limited to these 2 cells. So we can do what's called claiming, where 5 is limited to these 2 in the box, and so the rest of the box can't be a 5 anymore, because otherwise we would end up with 6, 7 limited to 3 cells, and we couldn't place a 5 in the column. So we can place this as a 3. We can remove 5 as an option from this cell, and we can remove the 3 as well because we placed the 3. That means we can remove the 4 from here because that would be too low now. And so now we've placed some 3s. How many 3s do we have left? We have 3 3s left. We can actually see that in this UI underneath me here. And so let's see if we can restrict 3s anymore. Well, for this box, 3 is limited to these 3. And then actually it's just these boxes left. And I don't think I can specifically restrict 3s more than this at the moment. But maybe there's something else going on with this row. So what's actually remaining for this row? Let's pencil mark it in. So I do need a 1, and where can 1 go? So actually 1 can't go in these 2, and 1 can't go here. So actually I can just place this 1. This can no longer be 1. Remove that. And can we do more with 1s? Yes, we can actually. These 2 1s look down. So that means this is the only place for 1 in this box. It did take the place of a 3. Yes, and actually, there's 2 ways to see this. One is we now have these 3s in these boxes lining up in the same 2 columns. So that forms kind of an X-wing-ish pattern. It's not really an X-wing because it doesn't span boxes, but you can call it that if you want. And so what that means is we can't have any more 3s in these columns because we used them all up for the column. So this can't be a 3. Another way to see that is where does 3 go in this column? And actually this is the only spot for it. So we can place this 3. If I get the right mode, we can place this 3. And we can erase this 3 as an option. And now we have 2 3s left, and we're not going to be able to disambiguate it quite yet, but hopefully we will soon. And so now we also place the 1s. So we have 3 1s left to place. So can we do anything with that? So this 1 is actually on this bishop line. And so that restricts 1 out of this cell. So we can actually mark 1s as being in one of these 2 cells. And that actually looks left and eliminates this one here. And so now we have a 2-4 pair in the column. Another way to put it is, where does 1 go in the column? It must go here. So now we just have 2 1s left to place. One of them is going to be in one of these 2, and one of them is going to be in one of these 2. But it can't actually be here because of the bishop line. So we can actually disambiguate it, and we can finish our 1s. So there's a 1 there, and there's a 1 there. We can erase this mark. And this can't be an 8. I'm just going to clear out that pencil mark. And we're going to see that this is a pair left because we have the 5, 6, 7 triple. So we need a 2, and it looks like we need a 9 as well. And I'm not seeing that getting disambiguated yet. But a 2, 9 pair does look down, and that disambiguates this, which is really nice. So this is a 5. This is now a 6. This is a 5. This can no longer be a 5. And so this cell here now must be bigger than 6, and it can't be 7 or 8, so it must be a 9. Now we've got a lot going on. So we place this 5, and that is on a bishop line, but we already cleared that out from the 5, 6 pair. I'm actually seeing now with this highlighted, this cell, we placed this 6, right? So this cell is going to be a 2, and this is the 5 to finish off the box. This 5 sees up to here through the bishop line, so that's no longer a 5, leaving a 6, 7 pair. That allows me to place this 5. That sees down. This is no longer a 5. So now what is this pair? Well, let's take a look. We have 1, 2, we need a 3. We have 4, 5, we need a 6, and then we have 7, 8, 9, so that's it, just 3 and 6. And so this should also be a pair. I'm just double checking that nothing sees this 3, 6, but I don't think it does. I can click on 3s. Can click on, actually I have 1, 6 place. Where is it? Right here. Ah, that does see left. So let's just take care of that first. That's a 2. That leaves a pair here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 6 and 7. That leaves a 6, 7 pair here. So this should be fillable. Looks like it's an 8. That sees left. So that's going to place this as an 8, which is really nice. Doesn't affect the rest of the bishop line though. And so 8s are, we just have 1 8 left to place, so we should be able, you can always place it when there's 1 left, and that's actually just going to go right, if I get the right mode, it's going to go right there. And so we have a 6, 7 pair in this column, so let's place this 4. That places this 7. That 7 sees up the bishop line, that places a 6, 7, a 6, a 7, 6, 7. It doesn't affect this 4 to 6 directly on the thermo, but let's just look at what's left for the row. So we have a 1, 2, 3. We need a 4. We have 5. We need 6. We have 7, 8, and we need 9. So there's a 9 on this bishop line here. And is there a 4 or a 6 seeing it? Not that I can tell yet, but that is a 4, 6 pair. That leaves only here for 9. 9 on this bishop line sees all the way up to here. That's a 2. That's a 9. So it could be worth, yes, this 6 here. I was looking at this bishop line. The 6 actually sees down. That's a 3. That's a 6. This 3 goes here now because we can clear our mark. And that finishes the 3s. 3 is gray now. That's great. I have a pair left here. Let's just fill that. I need a 2 and I need a 5. And I'm looking to see if anything sees that, but I'm not seeing it. And so let's fill this triple as well. We have a 1, 2, 3. We need 4, 5, and 6. This 6 sees down. Don't see anything else seeing that. Well, oh, we do have the bishop line though. so that can't be a 4. This 2 does see down, that clears a 2 from this cell. So in this column here, we need a 2, 4, and 5 remaining. This can't be a 2, so that's a 4 or a 5. That leaves a 4 or 5 pair, leaving just here for a 2 in the column. This is a 5. 2 is on the bishop line, so that's a 9. That's a 2. This could be 7 or 9. Neither of them's on the bishop line. This bishop line has a 6 on it, so that sees down to here. That's a 4. That's a 2. That finishes our bishop line. This bishop line should be finishable because there's just one more digit it needs. So we have 1, 2, 3. Looks like we need a 4. So that's a 4. That sees up to place the 6. 6 can't be in one of these two. And I'm just looking to see if that's disambiguated, but I don't see it. This 4 is cleared. This is a single though. It's a 9. That sees over, replacing the 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 6 and 9 left in these two cells. I'm not immediately seeing how to clear that, so I'm just going to fill it. I believe that means this cell's also 6 or 9. It is. And then this is fillable though. That's a 4. This 4 sees right. That's a 5. That's a 4. I'm sure this is where people will be telling me that auto pencil marks are extremely helpful, and I would agree with you when you're at this stage in the puzzle, but I'm not going to turn it on. I'm just going to finish the puzzle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could be 6, 7, or 9. This can't be a 6 or a 9, so it must be a 7. This cannot be a 7, so we're down to a 6, 9 pair. Is that resolved? No, it's not. We have these 6, 9s around the grid. This 5, 7 is resolved, though. That's a 5, that's a 7. It's resolved by this 7 here. We have one more 7 to place, so that means we can always place it. It's right here. We have 1, 4, and 1, 5 as well, so we can always place those. So where do we actually need a 4? We need it right there. And where do we need a 5? It looks like we have a 5 here. That's a 6. That's a 9. That's a 6. That's a 9. That's a 6. And we have a 2 and a 5 left to go in this box. This is the 5. This is the 2, and we're done. So I hope you enjoyed this solve. If you did and you want to see more of my solving Sudokus, either live or in video form, please remember to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And do check out the Logic Wiz app. As you can see, it has a lot of features, a lot of settings you can customize it to exactly how you want to solve Sudokus. It's got a large list of different kinds of variants, and they keep adding more. And they keep providing more puzzles, and they have all these puzzle packs that will take you quite a bit of time to get through, even just in the base game. So do check that out, and if you enjoy it, let me know. If you enjoy my videos and you came from the app, I'd love to hear about that as well. And in addition to everything that I've said, I do have a Discord server that I share with a few other Sudoku YouTubers, specifically Scott Strosahl, Bremster, and Zetamath, if you've heard of those guys or not. But we do share a Discord server, which you can join. There's a link in the description to join that. Feel free to hang out with us. And also, I do have a Patreon for those who want to support me on a monthly basis. So if you'd like to join my Patreon, and it's just a choose your own donation tier, whatever you want to donate per month, that gives you access to a special channel on the Discord server. And I will hopefully see you sometime in the future when I stream.